started with our Tuesday, March 14, 2023, Committee of a Whole meeting. I will now call this meeting to order. Of course, you know I'm Patricia Simmons. I'm the chairperson. We will start with invocation, and after that, it will be pledge. Everyone stand, please.
Let's pray. Father, we just thank you so much for this beautiful day that you've given us, Lord, all the blessings of life. And just pray that you would be with us tonight, Lord, as we come to do the business of the school district. I pray that you would just guide us, Lord, and you would give us wisdom and discernment to make sure that we're doing all the things that are best for our kids, our parents, our teachers, and all of our staff, Lord. I just pray that you would just watch over this meeting, Lord, and just guide us so that we would do the things that need to be done to move forward. We love you and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated. Okay. It's going to be maybe a quick meeting tonight. I don't know. Is there any public input? Since there is none, we will go into old business. Dr. Cave, will you present the information on old business? Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am not sure what I need to present, but I was asked to provide the statement of work. So Board Member Irwin asked for that document. So maybe there are some clarifying questions. I am willing to provide as much clarity as I can.
Thank you, Dr. Cave.
Sure.
I remember when we talked about this, I think 2 months ago, maybe, there was some, what we're currently paying now in contract services was not part of the salary study. It was like an addendum onto that. Is that correct?
You are correct.
And that is this Prismatic, or the Prismatic is the whole with the salary study?
This is the additional Prismatic services that they do, and they bill us on a monthly basis based upon the work that they do with the schools or with transportation or the entity that they're working with the district.
Okay, so Dr. Cave, just for my benefit, if you could tell us what they are doing for us now and what the scope as far as future work that they're going to be doing for us.
Okay, good question. So I can get my status report because I didn't bring that with me. I get a status report every month. I just received that. So their status report this month, they have primarily been working with our transportation department. As you know, transportation, well, I don't know whether you know it exactly, but transportation has moved over to a new routing software, and that's called Traversa. All right, Transversa. So they have moved over to a new routing software. It takes a lot of man hours for that to be able to happen, so they have been providing a lot of support for a transportation department to be able to do that. So primarily they've been working with transportation and providing that support there. They have also been working with the high school with scheduling. They have done some work with parent involvement, with parenting workshops, and they have also done some additional work with the middle school. So those are the things that they have been doing on this past status report. And the work moving forward, they provided us a list of maybe 20 items or so that need to be completed with transportation so that we can be up and running for the new school year.
For next year.
Right, and she's at a standstill, wanting to know whether to move forward or whether not to move forward.
And Dr. Cave, you could provide us with that list of
I
the
can.
20. Okay.
I can provide you with that list.
Thank you.
Miss Fitch and I are going to review that on Friday, I believe. We're going to talk about it on Friday.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So just, when you said they were working with transportation with the new routing software, is the software through this company, or is this
No.
company basically just being extra hands on keyboards kind of
Yeah,
thing?
they are extra hands, and it's quite a bit of extra hands because it's a lot for the new software. The new software is not through this company. The new software is provided by the State Department.
Okay.
But what this company has done, because our transportation department needs some additional support, they have actually, Prismatic actually signed up and got permission through the state and through us for them to be able to take the course through the State Department so that they could learn the software to provide help to our department.
Okay.
To help
And
us with the routing of our students.
so those extra hands, Dr. Cave, are they on site in our transportation department, or are they working remotely?
They have been on site, they come here when they need to, and they do it virtually as well. So
Okay.
they'll do whatever is needed to provide the support.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Any additional questions for this particular item?
Dr. Cave, as it is a scope of work, it doesn't necessarily have a contractual time frame. Is there an estimation of how long we will use Prismatic and how long I mean, I know that you they said a list of 20 items. Is there an anticipated time frame?
Yes,
for
I
that?
actually talked with her about that, and I asked her, could it be completed by the end of the year, by June 30th? And she felt as though it could be completed by that time.
Good to know. Thank you.
Yes.
Any additional question for Dr. Cave while she's here? Hearing none?
Okay, I might be next. No, I'm not.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Cave, I guess you can stay up because the next item is superintendent report. Well, Ms.
It's the, are we going to do anything with the policy items? Are there any questions about those?
No, I think we'll just wait for, because I think all the questions that we did have, Bert had answered those questions for us.
If I may, the second policy on unencumbered time, there's two red items on.
Correct.
Okay, principals will, and this is for the upcoming second reading next week.
Correct.
Principals will assign unencumbered time schedules for all inherent teachers assigned to their school site, and when applicable, compliance with this policy shall not be affected by early release days.
Those are the only two items that were added after collaboration with principals and collaboration with the various departments on executive team. That those are the two that we're working with the new board attorneys.
Good.
Yes.
So there might be additional changes to that between now and next week, or this is probably
This is
This
it.
should be
Okay.
the final.
Right. This is the final.
Thank you.
And the only additional thing that we have is that we're beginning the pilot. We met with principals this morning, and the pilot for the unencumbered time will begin April 17th through April 28th, and we're going to do that pre-K through 12. And the executive team will be meeting to determine those schools that will do the pilot, so we can work out the kinks.
Dr. Cave, you just gave beginning and ending time, so you're only going to run this pilot program for a short time. We're not running it to the end of the year.
We're going to run it for that short time so
Okay.
we can kind of tweak it and see what we need to be able to do. The principals that provided that input this morning, that's what they'd like to do.
How are those teachers going to take whenever you take that back for the rest of the year?
I'm not quite sure, but we're going to try it. We're going to try it and see. Yeah,
Understood.
I think they'll be okay.
Understood.
They'll look forward to it for next year. Any additional questions about unencumbered time? Okay, and if you don't mind, I'll just stay standing.
Go ahead.
All right, for superintendent's report. Okay, you ready, BJ?
Sorry, I took over you.
All right. Okay, so superintendent's update, as always, I'll tell you a little bit about the activities. We've had our executive cabinet meeting for planning support and organization, done school visits, principal leadership development. We did a solution circle based upon discipline practices and revising of the current PDP. talking about that. We did the statewide school level parent and engagement roundtable, done the superintendent's roundtable, have done the SEAL Leadership Series, Teach for America, and Colleton County District interview. I think a board member had that interview as well with Teach for America. Did some course planning with Technical College of the Lowcountry for expanding some courses at TCL. Continuing to work on that Eversource budget work sessions with our CFO and the other departments. We've also done some ESSER and Title Fund planning sessions with the superintendent, HR, finance, OEL, as well as CNI. And then we've done several parent appeal conferences from the hearing office. Okay, so let's talk about what's on the horizon. A Helping Hands planning meeting for a collaboration there has been going on. We did a Head Start planning meeting with the opportunity to collaborate and add a 3-year-old Head Start program to Hendersonville for 2023-24 school year with a ratio of 17:2 there. They'd like to partner to add a Head Start program there. In collaboration with Colleton County Parks and Recreation, the Somerville Family YMCA, Somerville Parks and Recreation, Somerville Medical Center, and the Swim Strong program for adding the portable pool, the flexible pool, to be housed hopefully at Forest Hills Elementary and the rec center. And we have done our submission of our modified calendar and have received that it is approved, correct? All right. Additionally, on the horizon, we also have our South Carolina ID kits. Not sure if you're familiar with that. I think it might have come out in your legislative update, but I'm not sure. But the General Assembly with the Attorney General's Office and the South Carolina Department of Education with grant support from Duke Energy, they, under Act 180 of 2022, the Child ID Law, districts are required to notify parents of the availability of some child ID kits. So we are getting ready to distribute those ID kits to all of the schools. Under the Office of Safety and Security, they will be getting ready to do that. We're going to notify our parents by the end of March. Notification for those parents will be March 28th and 29th, and then we're going to distribute those ID kits on April 4th. There will be a supply of kits for children in K through 12. It's not for pre-K, it's for K through 12 because that's what the legislature provides, that's what the Act provides. For this year, it'll be all of those children. And then for the coming years, it will only be those entering kindergarten children. The ID kits will be sent home by every child, and it will be left at home. Help me if I'm incorrect. It will be left at home for those parents to ID their children, fingerprint as well as DNA. All right, DNA swab, and it will be left at home just in case something happens, that child goes missing, and then they can send that kit to the law enforcement department. Okay, so that's what will be happening. We'll be sending correspondence home to parents on how to be able to do that kit. I think it's self-explanatory, but we'll be sending a letter home, and those kits will be provided to all families. Okay, wanted you to be aware of that. We'll
Dr. Cade, can I ask a question very quickly?
Sure. Hope I can answer that about the kids.
Is it possible if we wanted to provide that for our pre-K kids? Is there a way that we could do that or no?
I could look into it, but I'm not sure. They only send them for K-12. I'll ask the department.
They'll send a kindergarten.
They'll go in, so they'll get it then. Okay,
We get every year is a new kindergarten supply.
got you. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right, so the next part of my update is the athletics department, and Dr. Baddock is going to come and talk just about something that we're doing with athletics to do some motivation for our elementary children. Dr. Baddock?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I am really happy to be here to share with you all the more information about the kickball tournament that we're going to be hosting as a school district. It will be the first annual. It is for our 5th graders. It is being coordinated by the athletics department. It's going to be held at the Colleton County Recreation Park here in Walterboro. It's going to be held on April 5th. The rain date is the 6th. It's going to, each of our 5 schools will have one 5th grade class represent their respective building. They're going to have little T-shirts made, and we're hoping it's going to be just overflowing with school pride and a little bit of competition. The tournaments are going to be held on 2 of the back fields at the park, the Cherokee and the Bonnie Doon. The students and the staff are going to be transported to the field by our school buses. The event is scheduled to run from about 9 o'clock a.m. till about 1:15. We're going to invite all of the 5th graders to come and watch, so even if a particular class isn't the one representing the school, they're all going to be invited. Each of the, I'm going to call them student athletes, those representing the school on the team, will be given 2 tickets for their family members to come and watch. We'll have designated seating for their families. The games will be about 30 minutes in length or 3 innings, whichever comes first. We will be serving lunch there through the school district. Snackables, easy stuff. Snackables, juice, and water will be available. Students may bring bagged lunch if they so choose. The snack stand will be open, so students and family members can purchase snacks as well. The kids will be encouraged to bring a towel to sit on and a water bottle, and we'll have stations to fill up their water bottles. I think I said the seating will be designated for the parents. Oh, and then some fun information. We're going to have our varsity cheerleaders there. Our middle school cheerleaders are going to do a performance between the games. We're going to have the Cougar mascot there. The jazz band is going to be there. We're going to have an MC there. And I don't know if I'm forgetting anything. Let me look at my cheat sheet here. I think I got everything. I think it's going to be really exciting, and I hope you all can make it. Put it on your calendars, April 5th.
Dr. Baddock, how are we selecting the one 5th grade class from each school?
They're having school-based tournaments first,
Nice.
so process of elimination.
Okay.
And then there'll be brackets at the field that day. Okay, any other questions?
Just want to say, I think it sounds fantastic. And also, I think it's wonderful as a 5th grade building. I have a 6th grader now, so knowing the camaraderie that 5th graders need to have with each other as they enter into middle school is a wonderful opportunity, and I think I applaud the effort. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I love the idea of bringing the jazz band and the cheerleaders and everybody, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it'll be fun, and I can't take all the credit. Dr. Cave and the cabinet were all involved in the
It's really
planning
cool.
of this. So, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beck. Okay, I told you a little bit about the Swim Strong program. We were excited. We're hoping this is going to work. We're going to work on the transportation. I talked to Chris Myers, and so transportation is going to be hopefully provided by our department to transport the pool. We've looked at the standards, and grade 3 students in summer school will be involved in the water safety course. We're working on a certified lifeguard and water safety instructor. There'll be 1 week of support for that the Somerville will provide, and then we'll provide the 2nd week of support, and hopefully it's going to be located, the pool will be located at Forest Hills for our summer school program for our students. Okay? All
Dr.
right.
Cave, will the pool be in or outside?
It's outside.
Okay.
It's an outdoor pool. Okay? All right.
And was
It's owned by our county recreation department. Yes.
Dr. Cave, will that program continue throughout the summer?
We are only scheduled to have it for 2 weeks for Colleton County.
For the school
So,
district? And
not 2 weeks for the school district. 1 week for Colleton County Parks and Recreation, and hopefully we will get it for 1 week.
Great.
Right. So,
Sounds great.
If we can work it out, hopefully it can continue for next year, and maybe we can flex it along the way and have the children take the water safety course. Beaufort County does it with their children. 3rd grade students take it all year long at various times. So hopefully that could work. It's much needed.
I understand the challenges, of
Yes.
course, the actual facility, the pool itself.
Yes.
So
Right.
getting that is the first step. So
Yes.
look forward to seeing some kids learning something new.
Yes, most definitely.
Just logistically, Dr. Cave, if the county owns the pool, does the county cover the liability, or does the school district cover the liability?
We'll cover the liability under our insurance.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. Okay, and we'll have parents sign up. You know, every parent's not going to want their child to be able to take it, so it'll be by parent choice, right? Okay, as a follow-up to our discipline work session, we'll now entertain a presentation from Safety and Security and Mr. McNeely.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You have the report in front of you. There's some things that I wanted to bring out after we had our discipline work session. Numerous people had brought in different ideas as far as ways to speed up or to better have security for our locations. So I brought in things, the newest technologies that are out there. Other school districts are using some of these. Greenville, Rock Hill has some of these systems in place now, but I wanted to bring it to your attention so you could see the cost and we could possibly move forward with other systems. If you look at the first, it's the Evolve Weapons Detection System. This speeds up the process from a traditional metal detector, and obviously it's a bit more expensive than a traditional metal detector. The system takes 2 people to operate. One watches the equipment, and it highlights wherever you have something that fits the profile that the system is looking for. I did go to a conference. We had our work session on a Tuesday. On that Friday, I went to Charleston and met with MCA, the Motorola Group. That's who we have our radios through. We met, and they had a safety road show. They had all of their systems that you can integrate in place. So you got to see how all of these systems worked. The alerts that go to the current radio systems we have for administrators, the alert system and how it looks when it goes to those. The radios that we currently have for all the building level principals, the screen on there would actually show the location of where the alarm went off, if there's something like that. So the integration of all this is capable through a company that we use already. It's just a matter of getting what we need in Colleton County and what we feel is going to be best for us. One of the other items that was discussed was a bag scanner like you would have at the airport. This idea was discussed with Mr. Cannon, Dr. Cave, and myself at the beginning of the school year. The drawback to this machine, one, you can see depending on the machine you purchase, that's your price variance. The training and maintenance and all of that is usually standard across the board. I've got those numbers for you as well. The problem is the speed of the bag detection system. You've all been to the airport. It's not as quick as what you would like it to be. Imagine trying to get all of our students in school. That system is not going to move as quickly as we would like. I just wanted to bring it to your attention as an option because it was discussed. If we go to the next page, there is an option of body scanners, but you can see the price of one of those is extremely high. The reason the price is so high is because you have to have a certain kind. You can't just use any scanner such as they have at the airport because of privacy concerns and the fact we have children going through these scanners. So because of all that, the price does go up dramatically if you can find a company willing and able to have this type of service. Most of them use just the airport scanners. There's 1 or 2 that I did find, and the price is greatly increased, and the service agreements and things like that varied greatly. The last item you see on here is the vape detection. I know, Mr. Irwin, you had brought this up to discuss, and Mr. Kitt had responded to you. I wanted to put in here the system that he showed you is on there. Also, there's systems that range up to about $1,000 a system. This is the one, the system is just the unit that you would put inside of a bathroom. Many of these systems tie into the camera systems, and you can set the analytics of what you're going to do. I've been in contact with Mr. Zorn. I'm getting the analytics and all the details of our cameras. If they are compatible with these systems, we would need about 40 to run the middle school and the high school, and that's all of our student bathrooms. That also puts them in locker facility areas, such as PE class lockers and things like that. And we could also have some left over if we need them for emergencies, or the point was made at the road show in Charleston, some school systems are also putting them in staff bathrooms as well, because they've had issues there. And I thought, okay, we have enough. We can do that if that's what the board decides. So we have approximately 40 of those we would need. If our camera system integrates with this and everything matches up, then we're good. The analytics work. Again, you get a notification via radio, or you have a text notification that goes off so the alarm is not sounded so someone knows. And you can pull up the cameras immediately to the location of where the detection's gone off. Again, like I said, I've gone through, I've watched the entire system. MCA has probably 15, they call it an ecosystem. They have about 15 things in their ecosystem to work school security and safety. Not all of it is necessary, but certain things such as the Evolve style system and the camera and the environmental, because they're not just called vape detectors, they call them environmental sensors. There's a multitude of things. If you have one plugged in, it tells you air quality, it tells you temperature readings, it gives you, if there's a high mold concentration, it gives you numerous things on a report. So if any of those trigger, one of the neat features that I found was they have speakers on some of them. You can trigger in your protocols certain words, and if certain words are said loud enough the speakers pick it up, then all of a sudden it alerts you to that as well. So if someone hollers fight, or they start hollering a bunch of cuss words and it's in the bathroom, it automatically detects it, sends the location, and the cameras outside in the hallways begin to record in that general area. So these are just some of the things that were on display and some of the things that I've gone to and people I've talked with on the latest safety features that we could implement in our school system. Also on here, I wanted to bring up the 30-day report for Operation Cougar Nation. And on Operation Cougar Nation, we had approximately 6 things that we were trying to correct, behaviors that we tried to correct. I have them listed here for you. You can see here that our 30-day data shows a 17% decrease overall in those 6 behaviors. So our Operation Cougar Nation is successful currently. The volunteers we have some that are always on site and they come all the time. Some of the people that I would like to thank for this would be Eartha Cunningham, Leonard Daniels, Jules Vernon, and I'd like to thank Mark Wysong for leading it and being our point of contact at the school. He does a great job making sure that they're there, and he calls back to the district and says, this is what we've gotten done. It works fantastic. If we can get more volunteers for this program, the implementation goal next is to start this program in the middle school. If we're having success in the high school, there's no reason we can't have success in the middle school as well. We'll have our next report will be a 60-day report, and then we'll have a 90-day report after that. Are there any questions?
Mr. McNeely, I have a couple.
Sir.
First one, on the page where we talk about Evolve Weapons Detection System.
Yes, sir.
It says 2 machines.
Two machines.
What is the, would that be 2 machines at the high school? Would that be 1 at the high school, 1 at the middle school? What is your thought there?
However we would decide we were going to split it, but it's just 2 machines, and each machine is operated for 1 door.
So currently at the high school, how many doors / metal detectors do we have for incoming kids?
You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'll have 6.
Okay, so I'm curious how then the 2, did you just do that just to show the price, or?
Because the company, when they give a quote, the company gives you a quote of 2 machines.
Got you.
That's the reason the quote is of 2, and
Not because of your
not
planning,
because of
we would
it-
only need 2?
No.
Got you.
They just give a quote of 2 machines. I'm glad you brought that up. After I submitted the report, another company that does a system similar to this submitted their information to me. And instead of having a 2-post machine, such as the Evolve system, they wrote to me and said, we have a way that we can cut the cost and you use a 1-panel machine. The drawback to a 1-panel is students have to make a turn a quarter turn to get a complete scan, and a one-panel system for them is still $100,000
Gotcha.
for one panel.
Gotcha.
And that one just came in the other day, and I forgot to bring that up, but thank you for bringing that point up.
Next question, and Mr. McNeely, I would have never even considered this, but since you brought it up, do we have a vaping issue with our staff?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It was just something that was brought up at Charleston at the Safety Road Show. One of the school districts there said that they had put the environmental sensors in their staff bathroom, and they were like, you would be surprised. And I just kind of went, okay.
I do not want to call anyone out, but I thought I saw a head bobbing yes that it may be an issue. If there is a staff member here who would like to clarify whether or not we have an issue with that, I would appreciate that information
Yes, we have had some occurrences with we having to address.
within our staff.
Likewise, I've had to address some as well.
Okay.
Those would be an HR issue since they are staff.
That doesn't fall under your purview.
No, sir.
What do you hear about the vape detection system? I just, it would have a lot of interest given our settlement funds that we have received or will be receiving. We understand the vaping issues that are in our schools. I just want to make sure that our effort meets the repercussions. It's one thing to detect the actual device and take it away. It's another, I think it's so much harder than from when we were in school and you had a physical cigarette that was burning.
Right.
That you can correlate to that student. Now I just, throw it to the side and it's not mine. The puff of smoke can't be identified to who it goes with. And so I want to state how much I appreciate and want to be able to help address the vaping issues in our schools with our students. I just want to make sure that this detection is going to correlate to the repercussions we are able to provide, the punishments or help, I guess.
The assistant principals have already met with Dr. Cave, and they met with myself, and we discussed changes to the PDP and what they felt were necessary. One of the things that they thought would be beneficial was changing the consequences for the tobacco violations, which is where vaping falls under. We have made changes to that. The principals met with Dr. Cave today. They're working on their proposals on what we need to do. The next step in that is to go to the teachers forum and say, these are the changes we're looking at making. How do you see these changes affecting? And once we get that feedback, then we can continue to work to narrow it down. But there was the vaping issue, as you brought up, Ms. Wick, and that was something that they said we need to be tough on them in the very beginning and stop it from then on. So those were the things from assistant principals. And like I said, principals were given their assignments today when we had the meeting with them.
Thank you for that update. Just help us as we begin the board part of the budget process in trying to identify, is this something that is going to be part of our budget in the incoming year, that sort of thing, and how all that comes together for us. I'm looking at you and also Ms. Barrett and Dr. Keith.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. McNeely, I have one more. Last thing on Operation Cougar Nation says 17.7% decrease in the behaviors. Can you just explain kind of that matrix that went into coming up with that number?
Right. What we had done to do the number is we took from the month previous, prior to starting Cougar Nation, and that was our baseline number. We then went in and took the numbers from there, and we took our numbers for all the 6 items we have listed. I took those in there, simple calculations, and we came up with a 17% decrease. As it states in there, some have gone up, unfortunately, but overall we have a 17.7% decrease.
So we're strictly talking number of referrals?
Number of referrals.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. McNeely, based on the cost, it appears that the X-ray machines may be the more feasible option if we look into them. That's just my opinion. How will that affect the speed? I know that right now one of the biggest issues is getting the students into the building. Will that speed up? Do we know?
You're referring to the bag
Versus
machine?
Correct, versus
Okay.
the metal detectors. Will that help speed up the process at all if we purchase the bag scanners?
If you still run metal detectors and you run the bag scanner, the speed is not going to increase very much unless you're willing to spend on the higher end and find a machine that has 3 to 4 monitors. So as they come through, bag A is scanned on monitor 1 and it moves in that process. Most of the machines that I've dealt with and I've talked to for the people in this for the purpose of this, most of those machines had one monitor and it's one bag through at a time. You have a space, the one bag comes through, and if anything looks suspicious, the conveyor belt stops. So it would probably not speed up our system to use that type of system.
Thank you.
And that was basically my question, because with all the entrants that we have coming into the school, if these machines are not in a speed, then it's almost like you would have to purchase one for each entrance. And then you're looking at staffing along with the cost. So, I mean, where it is an incentive, it could make a difference, but then there's a lot of issues that comes with it. So
I just wanted to present numbers from what was discussed. Like I said, I watched the ecosystem, and it's a good ecosystem, and you don't have to have everything. You can pick and choose. One of the first things was the radios, and we do have the radios. One of the next would be a camera system through them for certain locations, and the matrix. If our camera system is up to speed with what they're going to lay on the analytics, then we can just integrate with that and move to something else. We wouldn't have to do with a camera system.
and with the vaping as well, it's like you said, you're getting everyone on board. And I feel that anything can work, but we all have to be on one accord. There can't be favoritism. And when it happened, we all have to stand attention, because it's almost like the dress code. You know, I understand that I know in the past we had the restriction, and then we got complaints, and then we allowed them to wear the jeans, and then they stopped wearing the jeans, and then we said just regular jeans with no tear, no holes, and then they stopped wearing those. So then it's like whatever we decide to do, we have to be on one accord. We have to be supportive of each other. We need to sit down and come up with a plan and stick to it.
Yes, ma'am. Any other questions?
Just to moving forward in the 3 different systems that, four, it sounds as if you recommend the vape detection system, but the others might be a cost-benefit analysis as to how they would actually benefit our district?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It would have to be done for a cost benefit. If we were to move with something such as an Evolve system, the metal detectors could then be placed at locations such as front doors for elementary schools, and they can also be moved to stadiums. So you don't have to transport back and forth. The machines would already be there. So there is use for what we have already purchased and what we have currently, and all of it's in working condition. We would just have to relocate it to a better facility for its use.
Thank you for the information.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that concludes our report.
Thank you, Dr. Cave. We will go with Human Resources. Murdoch?
Ms. Hamilton?
Good evening.
Good evening.
We are so happy to announce that our principals and department leads have submitted Teacher of the Years, Rookie Teacher of the Years, and Support Employees of the Years. And so we will bring them before you next week just to shake your hands, and then we will have a formal banquet for them in August. Okay, so be on the lookout for that. We will do something separate for our retirees. We will do a separate retiree banquet. I'm not sure how that's going to look yet, but we're going to do something separate for them. Also, next week, I will bring certified recommendations to you guys. Of course, you know, by state statute, we need to have contracts issued by a certain date. And so, and they have to be returned to our office no later than May 10th. So I'll bring those recommendations. We'll issue the contracts. I believe the date is the 17th of April. An email will go out to certified staff for those to be back no later than May 10th. Okay? We are continuing our recruitment efforts. We're advertising on every social media platform. We're now on Instagram. We're on Instagram now, just posting our flyers. We're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook. So we're on every possible social media platform, just letting the public know that we do have vacancies. Also, we had 2 principals to, again, attend Newberry's recruitment fair. We are planning to attend a virtual teacher expo through the state. The state is hosting a statewide teacher expo through Sarah. And so Colleton County School District will be participating in that virtual job fair. Also, we're continuing to partner with our teacher exchange programs, our partners, so that we can get our foreign exchange teachers here so that they can help fill these vacancies as well. We have interviews set up for them for next week with the principals to interview some of those candidates. Okay? And then, of course, we're still looking at how we can offer retention bonuses, referral bonuses, and those type of things, and then make our salaries a little bit more competitive so that we're competing with districts that's surrounding us so that we can get some quality teachers as well. That's all I have. If y'all have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer those.
Ms. Hamilton, I have a quick one. And I don't remember when we discussed this. Maybe Dr. Cave can help me. At one of our meetings, or maybe maybe it was our board retreat or something, we talked about the teacher cadet program that we used to have. Whenever we went to our school board conference a couple of weekends ago, one of the sessions I went to, because I love Ms. Hamilton and the job that she's doing so much, was one of these recruitment and retention things. And one of the districts said they had implemented, even at the middle school level, some sort of teacher cadet program to find out who's interested, and then going into high school. And then they were offering bonuses for those people in the teacher cadet program who would then come back, you know, and
Sure.
teach after school and stuff. Are we in that process, or
It's a long-term goal, so it is a 3 to 5 year goal for our department, just because it's going to take some networking with other departments to bring it to fruition, and it's not just going to happen. We got to find the personnel to run it and that type thing. I would need to do research to see how we can most effectively implement that. I just don't want to just launch into something and it's not successful.
Sure. And when you say 3 to 5 year goal, is that simply for high school, or would that be down to like the middle school level as well?
I was solely thinking high school. I'm not against middle school though.
Got
at
you.
all.
Thank you.
No problem. I do want to mention that Teach for America, I just absolutely adore our partnership with them. They have been so helpful to me in my transition in this role. And they made me aware that if you, and I'm saying this to the public, if you have a bachelor's degree and you would like to teach, Teach for America is an alternative route for you and an option for you. I just wanted to put that plug out there. So, any further questions for me?
Ms. Hamilton, with regards to your board help needed and recruitment efforts, tell us more specifically with regards to our budget process, the retention bonuses, referral bonuses, what can the board do for you to help with that? I'm assuming we'll get your kind of outline as far as what you need. Can you tell us more about that?
So I had a wish list, like I told you guys before, that I presented in my budget session. Just, I think this amount will help us with these recruitment efforts. It would just take you guys making sure that the funds are there and approving that.
Got it.
Yeah.
Look out for it. And then the other thing I wanted to ask real quick is that in the change a little bit of the identification of our Teachers of the Year? A little bit earlier this year? And then when will we identify the top 3 for Teacher of the Year for the
Right.
district?
So I just want to just clarify something. We are still on the same timeline.
Okay.
But we will identify the top 3 at the May meeting. I'm sorry
Got
for
it.
eliminating
No,
that. But yeah, those top 3 will be invited to the May meeting, and we will make that announcement.
Great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Any other questions?
I'm just
All right.
saying the key is finding the funds.
Finding funds. Yes, ma'am, that's the key.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hamilton.
Okay, we will now have finance, Ms. Strobel.
Good evening, Ms. Barrett. We're ready to hear from you. And just for tonight, I think we're to hear the finance report that you have for us. We'll have action.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As you know, this time of the year is definitely budget time, and we are looking at the legislative bodies and see what they're telling us and information that we're getting from them as we start the budget process. I went to a SCASBO with a business conference last week, and we got some information there, some good information on the budget. And I just wanted to go over where we are as far as different entities that we're doing in the state. Like the governor has his executive budget out, and he wants $254 million state aid to classroom. He wants to increase the state minimum teacher salary scale by $2,500 per cell. He wants to increase the starting pay from $40,000 to $42,500. He wants $132.5 million teacher retention supplements of $2,500 for half in December and half in May. $12 million to increase the school bus driver's salary. $27.3 million to place armed certified school SRO officers. 188 schools currently are without an assigned SRO officer. And $3 million supply budget to increase the teacher supply budget from $300 to $350. And of course, the House came up with their budget, and that's where we are looking at now. And hopefully, by this week, we will get some numbers from funding numbers from the state based on the House number, because normally that's what they give us. They give us a House. Once they give me the House numbers, I put it into my formula, and then I come up with a budget, and I bring it to you once we may have a work session. But the House, they're looking to do $261 million state aid to classroom. And also they want to increase the teacher's minimum salary scale by $2,500. They're increasing the pay from the $40,000 to $42.50, $42,500. $17.3 million for bus driver pay, plus they want to do a 20% state contribution. $10.2 million for SERDEP, $3 million for the teacher supplies, which is the same, $300 to $350. And they had $30 million of non-recurring instructional material. The main difference between the governor budget, basically, is that they're not wanting to give the $2,500 retention bonus for the teachers. So it look like that's probably where we're going to be getting our funding based on the House and Means Committee, and that's the one I will be bringing to you based on that budget. Any questions? And with with the state aid, the classroom, of course, that normally comes from the general fund from the state. And when it comes from the general fund, that means that they only fund us 75%, and we got to come up with the other 25%. So all the teacher salaries, we got to come up with 25% or whatever they tell us to give. So we don't do the whole, they don't give us the whole things. And we have some funding that they had in EIA, because EIA funding is normally 100%. What they're doing now, they're going to roll that up into the general fund, and that means when they roll it up into the general fund, instead of getting 100%, they'll give us 75, and we got to come up with the 25. But I will have those more numbers to those when we have our work session time frame.
And this is how they operate. They give you the number, and you have to figure out the rest. So
And
you
I'm
have to
telling you this, I
find
mean, just by looking at other districts, some districts like Charleston, I mean, it's going to be really competitive this year for salaries for teachers. Charleston, I think I look at theirs today, they were looking at the minimum salary of $58,000 for a teacher. Buford, we're looking at maybe doing their minimum salary to 50,000. And of course, we at 40,633, 833. And if, with the, of course, if we do the $2,500, we'll be at 42,500, a little bit more, because we have to also do a step. Whenever they tell us to do the salary, we got to also go back and do a step for the teacher too. So it's going to be very competitive this year. So it's going to be tough trying to compete.
And those district has industries to help them.
Yes,
when
yes.
Powhatan County have nothing.
Yeah, they have some of them have a very robust tax basis, so that really helped them out a lot. Okay.
Ms. Barrett,
Yes, sir.
right off the top, I know you hadn't got the final numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think we need to ask for a millage increase this year?
Well, I already did my numbers. We will probably, we will need to ask for increase. I mean, if we don't, it would come from our fund balance. So we'll be dipping into our fund balance. And right now, our fund balance is really, sound like a lot, but it's only 3 months of operating expense, because it takes us about $4 million a month to operate the school district. And March will be the last month collecting taxes for the district. So whatever we have in fund balance now is going to carry us until we start collecting taxes again. Of course, we get the state money, but that's like $2 million. So the other $2 million, we're going to have to carry us from our fund balance until when they start collecting tax money again. So this time of the year, we normally do a TAN, but thank God this year we don't have to do a TAN because we have money there. But if we're going to have to use our fund balance, it's going to be dwindling down very quickly, because I know I'm looking at the ESSA funds, and I thought we might have had one more year that we could have do the retiree teachers, but it's not going to look like we're going to be able to do that. So I'm going to have to bring that $2 million this year into the general fund budget.
I'm sorry, can you explain what you just said about retired teachers and the use of ESSER funds?
Yeah, we had them in some salaries we had last year in ESSA fund. So the way we did it, we just put the retiree teachers in ESSA fund, and that was the way we did it in order to keep up with everything. But those are actual positions that we need, so those positions have to come back to the general fund.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
but ESSER funds could still help us to balance the budget this year.
Well, the only thing, well, they can, because I do have a little bit of indirect costs, but other than that, we don't have any salaries that are going to really be coming from ESSA at all. Everything else is going to be facilities, they're going to be for the roof, they're going to be learning loss. That's not going to really help the general fund, because those salaries that we have in learning loss now, they after next year, they have to either be gone away with, or they have to come back to the general fund.
Understood.
Yeah, so it's just a lot you're going to have to be thinking about.
Ms. Barrett, you mentioned the work session. Can you update us on the timeline so we can get
Yes,
that on
I
our
just wanted to
calendar?
get with you all and see if you all have a time that's best for you so we can do a work session.
I guess you all can kind of like send me a couple of dates, and then I could, after we get the majority, then we can decide on what date, if it's feasible.
Okay, that'll be fine.
Is that
Thank you.
okay?
Sure.
Ms. Barrett, just being new to this part of the process, how many budget work sessions do we typically have, and in what time frame?
Normally we have one budget work session, because normally by then I'll have numbers from the Ways and Mean Committee, and then I'll have all the numbers I need to crunch the first reading, and then we'll go over the first reading of the budget, and then therefore anything changes that come over, I'll go over it with the regular session. So we normally just have one work session where we just sort of get with, the board, and you all tell us what you may want to see added to the budget, what we may not want to add in the budget, things like that.
Okay, so do we see a draft budget from you prior to the work session, or no?
No, because I need to get from you first, what do you want me to have in the budget? Any ideas you want to put in the budget. And then the next time we have a meeting, I will bring a draft work session for you, which will be called our first reading.
Got you. So as Ms. Hamilton said, we would just come with our wish list.
Yes.
And then it's up to you to figure out how to make it all work.
Yes.
Okay, all right, fair enough. Thank you.
When is it best for us then, on these proposed dates? I know that you guys have been meeting, rather consistently over the last 6 weeks or
Yes.
longer. So where does the board fall in that? Do you want that between now and our April meeting?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
definitely between now and April meeting, because the things I need to discuss as far as technology needs and whether or not we need to get a bond issued for that, because if we need to do that, we need to go ahead and get that on the April agenda so we can get that done. Because I know there's needs for technology for laptops and for teachers' desktops. And of course, we want to be able to take care of those things through our regular capital project money, because we only have like $2.1 million, and we got a lot of needs and
Well,
wants.
Ms. Barrett, why don't you send us a date that is good for you because
Okay.
of the meetings, et cetera, that you're going through? And then if it's an issue that we cannot all meet, then we can try to come up with a different date. How about that?
Okay, that'll be fine,
So
if that's
then
okay.
the key to eliminate all of us just sending in dates, if you would just send us
Okay.
1 or 2 date that is good for you and see what we can do from there.
Okay, I can do that.
Okay.
Okay, okay. I'm also, I want
Anyone have a problem with that?
No, that's not.
Okay.
and I want to also get our capital projects in really early this year too, so you all can have a time to look at it and review it, and we can, meet and talk about that too. Any other questions about that?
Ms. Barrett, I was wondering if it would be something that you could easily do when you post the monthly expenditures, usually the 10th. I think that's your date to
Yes,
put them out. Could there be a link provided to us as board members to that, rather than you having to print it? Could we just have a link to that since it goes public?
Yeah,
On the
it's
website?
on the website.
You could email us that link so we would
yes.
have that in our email.
Okay, we can do that.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, the monthly financial statement, we have local revenue for February. We had $5,925,788.44. And for February 22, we collected $5,741,924.07, which is an increase of $183,864.37, which is an increase of 3.2% from the prior year. EFA funding, that's no longer with us anymore. We have State Aid the Classroom. The EIA funding, we have an increase of $101,113,201.18, which is a big increase of 82.5%. We had federal funds. We had an increase of $92,870.15. Food service, we had a little decrease of $48,388.78. But we had an overall total increase in our revenue for the month of February of $394,236.24. We have one more month to probably be collecting the bulk of our property tax, because March the 15th or 16th is the end of property taxes for the regular property taxes. Then we'll be doing delinquent property taxes. For the general fund expenditures, we had an increase of $458,598.75. Special revenue, we had a decrease of $159,732.77. For federal funds, we had an increase of $844,813.93. Food service, we had an increase of $160,254.06. For total expenditures increase for the month of February was $1,303,933.97. Any questions? Okay, I will send some dates for the work session, so that way we can go ahead and get started with that. Thank you, too, for everything.
If I may, Madam Chairman, as Ms. Barrett just went over, all that's going on in the legislation right now
Yes.
that impacts our budget.
It does.
I'd like to just make a comment to the public to state the impact that state vouchers could have on
Right.
our district.
Definitely.
And our budget, and how impactful that can be to a rural district like ours.
Yes.
And I have feel as if I would like to champion in any way the effort to notify all of our legislators of the stance that how it would affect our district. I have notified them individually and would be happy to give anyone any information with regards to Senate Bill 39 and also the House's review of that. The impact is significant to the amount of funds that would come to our district that we would not receive if the funds went to another school. And we just really need to be aware of how this will affect our community. So if I can help in any way, please let me know.
Yes, thank you. It is definitely be a big effect on our budget.
Thank you, Ms. Barrett.
Thank you. Curriculum and instruction. Yeah.
Good evening, Ms. Jessica Williams. We are more than happy to hear from you tonight.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Irwin. Good evening to the board members. You have a copy of my report, and I just want to reiterate a few things. Just want to let you know that we are continuing to plan feverishly for our summer learning program. I think I noted to you the last time that we have a core team and we have a design team. So our core team is made up of Dr. Cave, myself, Mrs. Hedden, and Dr. Reed. And then our design team is made up of principals, teachers, content specialists, instructional facilitators, and we come together monthly and we talk about how we can make our summer learning more enriching and exciting for our students. And our summer learning program is not just for students who are failing, but it's for students who want to come to be enriched and want to participate in the different activities that we're offering. So on the slide there, you see where the dates for our program is June 5th through the 29th. It will run Monday through Thursday, and there will be different times according to the level. So early childhood would run from, I think, 7:30 until 2:15, and then elementary, I think it's until 2:30, and then middle and high is like 2:45. We have our theme that we voted on, and it's going to be fit, body, mind, and soul. And fit relates to the physical activity that we're going to incorporate, because I'm going to talk about the partnerships. The mind relates to the academics, and then the soul relates to the SEL component that we'll have this year as well. We have lots of partners that you see listed there. We're excited about our partners. The locations are listed there. We started our staff recruitment last week, March 7th. The Department of Human Resources placed that on the website for us. And as of today, we have about 77 applications. And we're also excited about our super tutors, who are high school students who will be coming to help us as well with different parts of the program. Our instructional day will consist of STEM-based activities. Our content specialists and Mrs. Hedden have been working on different types of activities that are fun and STEM-based for our students. We will have pep rallies. We will have morning and afternoon circles. We will have different partners coming in to do youth development and just different enrichment activities. So I just wanted to put it out there that summer programs is not just for those who need to come, but it's for those who want to be enriched during the summer. So we're excited about the planning stage, and we look forward to a great program this year.
Ms. Williams, can I ask a question just for clarification?
Yes.
You said it's not just for, is the summer program, is it completely voluntary or is it mandatory for some?
No, so some students will need to come if they're failing or they're not passing their subjects. They will need to come in order to recoup that credit.
So if they want to move to the next grade, they have to come, but if they choose not to come, I don't want to give them my summer, they would just repeat.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct.
I asked this question before,
Sure.
but given the IKE retention policy that was passed, are we anticipating larger numbers, and how are we tracking that to better staff and prepare for the summer?
So we have pulled that data. I don't have the data in front of me right now, but when the data was pulled, and I know we had a discussion about this, Mrs. Hedden and I discussed it, and it was pretty high at that particular time. We had quite a few students who were at risk for failing. However, that can change because of assignments being made up and additional work, those kinds of things. So we're hoping that because there's more teeth in our promotion retention policy this year, that it won't be, hopefully it won't be as many students as we experienced last year. And then the schools are doing more to have these students enriched, such as at the middle school. I know they were doing Saturday school, and the high school's doing a credit recovery during the year. So there are different things that are going on to possibly help us not have as many kids retained. But then, the Read to Succeed, the third grade retention, we have to take that into account as well. So when students take the SC Ready test in May, and if they score a certain score, then and they do not meet the requirements of Read to Succeed, then they must be retained in their grade unless they come to summer school.
Thank you.
And then I just wanted to give you an update on Cognia. I think I've talked to you before about our accreditation process, and we have completed all of our self-assessments, and we submitted all of our information into the workspace on March 1st, and we will have our virtual engagement review on April 5th. So they won't be coming to the district, it will be a virtual review. So we did a lot of analysis. We analyzed our student performance, we analyzed stakeholder feedback, we analyzed the learning environment. So we're looking forward to our engagement review on April 5th. And then lastly, just wanted to share with you that we had representatives to attend the state textbook caravan, and they brought back the information, and our teachers voted on the textbooks that they would like to adopt as a district. So this year, pre-kindergarten textbook was up for adoption, as well as Biology 1. And I have those textbooks that were chosen by our teachers. For pre-K, it's Scholastic Pre-K, and then for Biology 1, it's Miller and Levine by Savas. And if you look in the back of the auditorium, you'll see that there are samples of those books for you, so you can preview them. The public is able to preview the books as well. And that ends my report. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Ms. Williams, your planning for summer looks really exciting, and I wonder how you advertise that. And I was thinking about the highly capable kids that the parents are involved with the program, that will have a celebration, I think in April. So that might be an audience, and I wondered what other ways we might could advertise it to the parents, let them know it's more than just summer school.
Right. And actually, we have a communications committee made up through the design team, and they have created a flyer, and that flyer has gone on our district website, and I know they're going to be thinking about other creative ways to get the word out there. But you're absolutely right.
I was wondering about our churches, maybe a mailer to that.
Yes, we can.
List.
Most definitely.
Ms. Williams, on your last page of your report, it talks about the iReady digital assessment. Is that data collected monthly, weekly? How is that?
So when a student takes the iReady Standards Mastery Assessment, that's what you're talking about,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So there's an actual platform that all of that data goes into. So it's immediate data.
So how often do we take those assessments, those iReady assessments?
So for the intercession plans, they take an assessment once per week. So we have intercession for 11 weeks leading up to state assessments. And there's an assessment each week that they take. Teachers look at the assessment, see where students are struggling, reteach, and then they reassess using, there are different forms. There's like a Form A and a Form B, and then they use the other form to reassess the students after they've taught the content that the students were struggling with.
Thank you. Anyone else have any questions for Ms. Williams?
We have standardized testing score, testing dates. Are those-
Testing for SC Ready, it starts May 9th, the week of May 9th.
Got it.
Right.
May 9th is for elementary, the following week is middle school, the following week is the high school.
Perfect. Will we be announcing those to parents and, thank you.
Anyone else? Anything from Ms. Williams? Thank you very much, Ms.
Thank
Williams.
you.
We will now go into Operation Staffinger.
Operation Board Report, Ms. Ellen Fitch. Take your time.
I've survived much worse. Good evening.
Good evening.
As you can see, Mr. Blakeney is off until midday tomorrow, so if you have any questions for him, I'll make sure that he has them ready for you for next week. But you have my report. I would like to highlight, as we go into budget season also, how our budget is determined for the district. You know, we have enrollment issues and different things like that that does affect our funding. Well, food service also is affected severely with enrollment numbers and participation numbers. That's how we are funded, by the meals that we serve. So really encourage everyone to eat. Our enrollment has dropped, and participation always drops, and especially during this time of the year when there's all these celebrations and different things, it does affect participation in the schools. We've lost this year. When we received our USDA funds for next year, we lost $20,000 in USDA commodity money, and that was based on during COVID, they kind of gave us a little leeway and kind of kept us at status quo. And every year we've lost a little bit, but this year we've lost $20,000 going into next year. So I have to be really strategic on how I use those funds next year. So I'm using them mostly on DoD produce, Department of Defense produce, and I'm using it on all of their favorite chicken products to get credit back towards that cost, because all food and supply costs really escalated this year. As you can see, and salaries increased. So all of that, if you paid attention during the budget report, you can see that food service lost revenue, and we increased in expenditures. And that's going to happen continuously at this point with the food and supply cost and salary increases. So that's really going to play a part in me determining staffing for next year. I may not be able to fill vacancies, so we may have to change some things unless we can get our participation numbers up, which I'm working on some plans for that now, and I'm also applying for grants. Anywhere I can get money that can help us to offset for like some equipment. And repairs were really high this year too. So I just want y'all to help me, you know, really push those students to pick up those meals. And middle and high school is the hardest because they like to be social more than they want to eat. And they like those quick grab and go little things they can purchase rather than get the free meal. And we have had a lot of lunch boxes since COVID, and I understand the fear, but my staff is very well trained in food safety, so I really want you to help push that as you will. And if there's any other questions, we did have 2 bus drivers that completed they're in the behind the wheel training. And we are talking to one of the supervisors there about going to some training for third-party testing, which will help speed that process up for us, because the third-party testing has to be, you know, we have to wait on them to come out and do that final step. But if we have someone here that is trained in that and gets licensed in that, then we can actually do that last step ourselves here, which would help us to push that along in a little bit speedier way of getting bus drivers out there on the road. And that's pretty much all I have tonight, unless you have any questions.
Ms. Fitch, I do have one, and if I need to direct this to Mr. Blakeney, I'm more than happy to.
Okay.
It says that the track renovation bids have been received. I know we are now in track season. But I also know the track desperately needs some TLC. And in the past couple of years, just being a track parent, we've hosted 2 meets at our track. So do we know, as far as this track renovation, is it going to be done now? Is it going to be done after the season? Do we have plans to do it before we host meets?
I wasn't included in on that
Okay.
process, so I wouldn't have that answer for you. Okay.
I can-
Absolutely. Yes,
I can
ma'am.
answer that question. I spoke with Mr. Blakeney. We could do it now, but because we're in the middle of track season, it's not feasible for us to be able to do it now. Our plan is to do it in the summer.
Dr. Cave, are you aware, are we hosting track meets this year?
I don't know whether or not
Okay.
we're hosting any. I'll need to check that with Coach Austin to see how many we're actually going to have on site.
Thank you.
Dr. Cave, do you know where we stand so far as the 6th graders academies that we plan on doing? Do you know any
You mean for the,
elementary schools?
for LSP3 to be doing the
Yes, ma'am.
architectural design?
Yes, ma'am.
I think they're probably a week out that we're supposed to have that. It may be ready for next board meeting, but I'm not quite sure. Yeah. I'll check with Mr. Blakeney upon his arrival. We're getting together on Friday, I think, for a meeting on capital projects. So I'll be sure to get an update on where we are.
Do you
It was
think-
about a week out the last time I checked.
Do you think we'll be able to have that done by the start of school next year?
I don't want to say that'll
want you to.
that'll take board approval. We'll have to bring that design back to the board and see what the board wants to do in terms of moving forward. When we bring it back, it'll be the plans, and then you will look at the plans, look at the cost estimate, and then make a decision as to where you'd like to go when you look at the timeline and what the facility plan would like to be.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
If I may add to Mr. Murrah's question on that, Dr. Cave, can you better explain the timeline? A lot of questions and concerns, just
Yes.
because there's been so much proposed as to how we're going to progress things. And the biggest concern is, will we make these changes for our 6th graders to be in the elementary setting by next school year? How do we, I know our architect will give us an estimate on the fees for the plans needed for the middle school, but how is it progressing as far as our district plans for changes to our 6th graders for next year?
So I'll just need to have a little more clarity from you for what you're asking. Are you asking, once you get the design, are we planning to move forward with changing the 6th grade and the 6th grade staying at the middle? So that I can give you the right information, Ms. Whitkin, I want to be able to get just a little bit more at what you're asking.
Sure. I feel confident in the district's preparation for renovations to the middle school. I think
Okay.
that, once we get those architect estimates.
Okay.
And then we have those plans and that progression for the necessary upgrades for the middle school.
Okay.
My question is more towards the district's overall proposal of the change for 6th graders to integrate into our elementary schools.
Okay.
And how quickly the operations part of that, because we know that so much will be affected. What are the district's efforts to progress towards
Okay.
that plan?
I was going to say something. One of the holdups, and sorry to interrupt, but one of the things that I would say is that we're doing step-by-step approvals, so we can't really move forward until we bring that action to you to move forward and we get an approval, because we haven't gotten that yet. But now I think that Dr. Cave can answer the rest.
Okay, the district's plan in terms of, I think maybe you would like for me to talk about the district's plan in terms of having the 6th graders move back, staffing and those types of things.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so yes. All right, so we have already done some staffing projections. We have done some preliminary in terms of which staff can actually move back, how many
teachers will have to return to the school, what the projections would look like. So we could do that piece in terms of that. We know where staff needs to go. What we don't know at the current moment is who will need to go where. We just have not done that piece. We've met with the principals. We've done 2 scenarios. We've done the scenario as to if we stay like we are. We've done the scenario is if we move your 6th grade back. Principals know where those classes need to be located, and they are even prepared curriculum-wise. So we're ready to make the change either way, whether we stay or whether they move back. Does that help?
It does.
Okay.
But in understanding all that needs to happen, is it safe, Dr. Cave, and I don't want to corner
okay.
anybody on this, but knowing what we'd have to do, would that have to be done and decided upon as early as April in order to make it
Yeah.
happen for the start of the school year?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We would need to go ahead and make that decision if we're going to make the change, because you'd like to be able to let your staff know. You'd like to be able to let parents know. We'd like to be able to get the routes so Prismatic can get started, so we can do the routes, because the routes would definitely have to change for the children and for the bus drivers. So we'll need to make those decisions so we can start the ball rolling.
Gotcha, that helps. And so just understanding that in the next few weeks, that is going to be a major focus of our district.
Yes.
Then for April and for some finality on next school year.
And we would definitely have to do some budgeting, because the budgets would have to change, because that means 6th graders would stay. So we would have to do a little bit more of allocations for 6th grade because those children would be staying. So lots of things would have to happen in the next few weeks if we're going to make those changes. And it could be done. We'll just have to do some work.
Understood. Thank
Okay?
you.
You're welcome.
Dr. Cave, if we move forward with the 6th graders going back to the elementary schools, are we doing anything as far as additional admin in those schools because we're adding the 6th graders?
I think we're adding 1 spot, correct? One AP.
At each school?
No, just one. Just one AP would need to be added.
Would that be at Bell since they don't have one?
Yes.
Okay.
Without me looking at the spreadsheet, I have to look at Ms.
I got you.
Bell. Right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any more questions?
Great questions, yes.
I guess we need to say to parents, grandparents, neighbors, are related to children in the middle school, high school, ask your children to come pick up their lunches.
That's right. They only have to get
They don't
three-
have to
they
eat
only
it
have to
now,
get
and they can
three
take it
items.
home for later.
That's right. They can
So-
get 3 items, and one has to be a fruit or a vegetable. So even if they bring lunch, they can still come through that line and pick up 3 items and get 1 fruit or vegetable, and they are covered.
All right, children,
And then
you're
we get our
hearing this, so
reimbursement.
we need you to pick up your lunch.
Yes. Thank you.
I just want to give shout out to Cougar Nation. And I ask parents who are listening, if you have some spare time, a few hours to just put in to help out, an hour, 2 hour, 3 hours is helpful. Please sign up. And I also want to say to the board, I got an email, and I know Dr. Cave is going to do recognition for student and teachers on next Tuesday.
Club, we're doing Teachers of the Year, Employees of the Year. We're doing the Teachers of the Month. We're doing Students of the Month. We're doing quite a few.
And I know we had a restriction on the budget, her spending. Is it possible for her to be able to purchase gift that will be able to be given to on this occasion?
We can't, we can't do
Well, we
anything
did
on
a verbal, it's not an action. I mean, all she needs to do is pick up gift for the staff.
Madam Chair, with numbers and that sort of information, I think that would be necessary for
Well, we're
any
not
type
gonna,
of,
Dr. Cave, I guess I can say if you have fundings available, I guess you can purchase what can be purchased during that time. If there's funds available. So you're not.
She's not getting, my portion is not getting,
Okay.
I'm
Right.
Okay,
Their award will come in August.
The only
Okay.
people who receive something are the teachers of the month. The teachers of the month from each school. And who else? And the staff from each school receive a gift certificate,
Okay.
a gift card.
Okay.
Right, and we've run out of those. We don't have
Okay.
any more.
all right. If there is no more questions or concern, can I entertain a motion to adjourn? I need a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion, we adjourn.
Can I get a
Second.
second? All in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. Good night, everyone.